to the MoxStars podcast. I am Menace, one of your hosts, and I'm here with Rampage.
You can't get rid of me that easy. What's going on, everyone?
Hey, he's back. What's good? What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the MoxStars podcast, the #1 podcast on the internet for Magic the Gathering, Dr. Pepper, Don Cheadle, and surveillance cameras?
I think so now.
If you'd like to support the show, you can do so by finding us on YouTube, where you can like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more notifications. You can also find us on all podcasting platforms, where you can leave us a 5-star review to make us look super duper cool. You can also find us on Patreon by becoming an official Pepperhead for $3 a month. You can have your name turned Dr. Pepper Red on the Discord server. You can also join the Pepperhead, the Dr. All right, no, it's not the Dr. Pepper. It's specifically not Dr. Pepper. MoxStars Podcast Fan Club for $3 a month. Support the show in that way as well. If you join that tier, your name turns lime green on the Discord server, or the color of Squirt. You know, the exact opposite.
Opposite Dr. Pepper, yeah.
Of Dr. Pepper. Yes. Our supporters, we have Mac Oyen, definitely Jeremy, Mono, Greg, UWP Court, Will Rule, Ryan G, Adam, and Person.
What is that, like 8,000 people?
It's a ton of people. Thank you, everybody, for your support. We truly do appreciate it.
And while we're just taking a little time to be sincere, I think we should take a time in Annihilator's absence. Just what a phenomenal add to the podcast. We've had Annihilator on for what, like 3 months now?
Yeah, it's good. I think we're coming up on 2 or 3 months. Yeah.
What a great add. He brings like me. Unfortunately, I've only been playing the game for 4 or 5 years. So it's nice to have, I don't want to call him the old head because that sounds impolite, but like that old, like from back in the day, like growing up with it in their youth. I think they add a lot of color. I've appreciated them being a part of this.
Yeah, the perspective is like, it's so much different to gain someone's perspective who primarily dabbled in or like who was playing constructed formats competitively, and then now has begun to shift gears into Commander. Whereas like when we started playing, I played constructed very not a lot, like standard when Torrential Gearhulk was around, and that was how I got into Magic. And then I discovered Commander, and then I dragged everyone I knew into Commander. And so it was like I also sort of learned there. So it's good to have someone who competed at that level and then is dialing it. It has to change to become a Commander player. And then for us who born, raised in Commander, getting to hear these different perspectives, it's awesome.
Because it's not like a 1-for-1 translation. Like you can't like, oh, I have this deck in 60 card. I'm going to try to build a Commander deck around the same theme. Like incredibly difficult to do.
Yeah, that is my #1 skill, though. I will say that is my literal #1 skill, is watching content creators on YouTube like Swayze and CGB, their standard decks, and then exporting them and being able to take them and build Commander decks like with them.
I guess that was the birth of Shiko, right?
Yeah, that was how Shiko came to be. That's how Hapatra, my first deck ever, came to be. You know, it was like just that was the constructed deck I was playing. So I just transformed that. That's how Marith became a thing. I was playing Gishath in Standard, like when Ixalan came out. So that tells you how committed to the bit I was. Yep. But yes, having Annihilator on has been a real pleasure. In other news, Magic the Gathering news, we have now, it is now live and well, and in your ability to purchase Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Magic cards. This has been one of, there are mixed reviews. One not mixed review is that this is also the lowest turnout for a pre-release in history. Like it was Spider-Man. it was sort of like a failed launch. They had the opportunity to correct those things and do it right for TMNT. TMNT is the same amount of cards as Spider-Man, so it is also a reduced size of set, making for like limited archetypes within the draft experience in the pre-release format. But they were not able to garner enough interest to do better than Spider-Man, unfortunately.
I wonder if that's like, I don't want to call it a trend, but I do see some repeating patterns here. Spider-Man came off of Final Fantasy and Edge of Eternity, right?
Yes.
Some great sets, some people, some fan favorites. And now TMNT has to compete with Lorwyn that just happened. And my local guy was telling me how when Lorwyn came out, they sold out their pre-release days, all 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And they didn't have any pre-release kits like left for sale afterwards. I went there on Sunday of pre-release week for TMNT and just asked if I could buy them. And he goes, I can't sell you them, the pre-release. They're for actually competing in the tournament. You're not competing in the tournament. It's a little late. But come back. We'll have extras. We'll have extras to sell. We've only gotten like 12 to 20 people every day. Like, it's just not the same. It's such a high bar to compete with Lorwyn, which was selling out. And now TMNT, I don't know if it's less fans or the set's less exciting, but well, a combination.
Last week, Annihilator and I sat here and we had said that we were going to go to pre-release weekend, that we were going to do it on a Saturday, do a two-headed giant pre-release, something like that. But we went to the shop we were going to go to a couple days beforehand, and we were like, hey, what's the price on pre-release coming up? And call me an old head, like call me like stingy, whatever, pinching pennies kind of guy. But I remember pre-releases being $30, like getting the box of 6 packs for $30, and you get a promo foil and a dice and a small box. Cool. Whatever. $30.
Yep.
It's the same. The product has not changed. It is still 6 packs and a promo foil and a dice. And paper has gotten way more expensive. That's what it is. But they wanted $45.
I think there's less trees. Yeah.
Yeah. They wanted $45 a person. And we just looked at each other and we were like, no, like, we're not doing that. So we were gonna, but then if it was $35, we would have said yes. So, like, whatever, we'll just eat the $5, whatever. And then, but when they said 45, we were just like, that's why.
Yeah. Every time there's a set, I kind of like go through every card and figure out like what cards I want for my commander decks. I have a couple of commander decks that care about like +1/+1 counters, which this set got some new fun little tools. There's the Wheel of Fortune on a sneak card that I'm considering, but I bet my entire TCG player order is going to be less than $45, and the bulk of that price is going to be in the Super Shredder.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, by the way, yeah. Right now, this is not financial advice, but if you are thinking about buying a Super Shredder, it's the lowest it's ever going to be. Like right now, at this moment, you're listening to this. This is the lowest it'll ever be. It's going to continue to climb. It is. This kind of can stray right into one of our topics for today, or maybe we'll double back on it. But I think Moonshadow just straight up died. Like, I think that Super Shredder just outclasses Moonshadow in every single way. Even though it is one more mana, it's different, man. Like, I think that they were they were insane to make this card. And then also over the course of the last few days of seeing it exist in standard, the amount of times I've seen it come out on turn 3 or 4 and then already be a 7/7/8/8 menace is just, it's unbelievable. So imagine what you can do in Commander when you're really, really trying to magnify the ability of Super Shredder. You could, I'm might be convinced that you could run it as your commander and just run this mono black aggro nonsense. It's very possible that, like, Underworld, Underworld Connections or whatever it is, Black Market Connections. You can run that, and then all of a sudden you're just like, yeah, create a treasure, sack it, get a counter, like blah 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 blah. I feel like it could be a good card, be a good deck. But yeah, it's a great card for Tayam. We'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, let's get started. We're going to talk about Surveillance Camera. This is a new card from TMNT that actually can and will see play in cEDH. Diving back into our cEDH roots here to talk a little bit about this. This revives one deck specifically. So if you've stayed true to Urza, Lord High Artificer, congratulations. You've now been rewarded with a 2-card combo. Surveillance Camera is 1 blue mana for an artifact with flash. When this artifact enters or leaves the battlefield, you may tap or untap target creature. You can pay 3 in a blue, sacrifice this artifact, draw 2 cards. So this is pretty cool. This is
ironically the draw ability of this is not why we're talking about it, which is like the first time for everything, right?
Yeah, it's really insane with Urza. So to kind of explain the combo, you come in, you cast Urza, and Urza creates the construct. So you have,
and the construct token you have on your board came from the MoxStars Etsy store. So that's critical to this combo. You need that. Yep.
If you didn't know, we do have an Etsy store, MoxStars, and it is in the description below. You can buy your construct tokens there, like our first ever purchaser. Like we had our first ever sale, and that's what they bought. So take notes.
It's for this.
All right. But yeah, it comes in, it creates the construct, and then you can tap the construct you need 1 more blue mana on top of this, but you can tap the construct to cast a Surveillance Cam. The Surveillance Cam enters or leaves. That is the really important part of this text. You may tap or untap target creatures. Then you enter, it untaps the... actually, I don't know if you need an extra blue. You untap the construct.
Yeah, you don't need an extra blue.
No, and then you tap that construct for 1 more blue to give Urza, or you cast Retraction Helix on Urza. There's also another card that does the same thing. I can't remember exactly what it's called. But Retraction Helix says target creature gains tap, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand until end of turn. So then you tap Urza, you return the Surveillance Cam to your hand, and then it untaps target permanent. Right? So you untap the construct, get your mana back, tap it again, cast the Surveillance Cam, untap Urza. And then you tap the Surveillance Cam because it's also an artifact and you can generate blue mana, right? So you tap it, and then you tap Urza, you bounce the Surveillance Cam, it leaves, you untap the construct, and now the loop has been presented. So,
but what do we do with this infinite mana we've generated?
Well,
what's the payoff?
I don't know if anyone's heard of Urza Lord High Artificer, but he kind of has an ability. He has an ability to pay 5 colorless mana, shuffle your library, then exile the top card. Until end of turn, you may play that card without paying its mana cost. So the reason we say it's 2-card combo, right, you just need Urza, Retraction Helix, and the Surveillance Cam. 2 cards outside of the command zone. But basically, once you generate this loop and you can prove that you've generated infinite mana through this loop that you've demonstrated, you can then activate Urza infinitely. You can exile your whole library if you'd like, but as Rampage had said off camera, the best thing you can do is just exile until you hit your win condition, and then keep going until you've exiled every single counterspell in your deck. And then you can play them without paying their mana cost until end of turn. So you protect yourself, and then you also grab your win condition. So pretty cool stuff. I do think that this doesn't stop necessarily at Urza. I think the Surveillance Camera has additional benefits. You can play it in any deck that is utilizing this Retraction Helix loop with, like donut artifacts like Mox Opal or Lotus Petal or whatever. You can now use this to untap the Valley Flood Caller and get the cast untap trigger, and you can do it with Mox Opal or whatever, and then just generate infinite mana. This might find a home in things like Thrasios, where you can then generate infinite mana that way, activate Thrasios, and win the game. So really cool potential here with Surveillance Cam. Rampage, any like, are you brainstorming anything with this right now?
I'm just imagining all the things you can do in blue with this. You mentioned the first loop, which is the retraction helix, and this artifact, and that's what blue does best, right? It gets the instants and sorceries in your hand, and it gets the artifacts on the battlefield. There is 6, 7, 8 cards in each category that satisfy both of those requirements. I'm also imagining a world where this replaces an artifact in a Hullbreaker loop. If you have if you have an artifact that taps for multiple mana or multiple colors of mana, being able to utilize that in that sense, and having Hullbreaker put this back into your hand, and it kind of ends up paying for itself.
Yeah, that's crazy. Any like Bloom Tender, right? Yeah, and untaps a creature specifically. So, like
back to your Thrasios discussion, jamming this in there.
Right. Yeah, it just makes for a really easy combo, especially since the top end usually is. I wonder if this sees Kinnan play. Like if there's a world where you can't hit it off the Kinnan activation, but I wonder if just that like untap or leave is enough to instigate.
Because in Kinnan, it's a ritual, right? It's 1 mana, make 2.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
That's kind of insane. Like Badgermole Cub, Surveillance Cam, and then another dork, and all of a sudden you have an activation. So like that's kind of insane to me. Like Kinnan, Cub, and then 1 additional dork, which your deck is already focused on having so many of those things, and then you play the Surveillance Cam. Yeah, you get a ritual that adds 2 additional mana, so you would actually pause. You go up 2 mana. So. Kind of sick. If you are out there and you're brewing with Surveillance Cam, or you're seeing this for the first time, or like get out there, start jamming it into things, testing it out. Cut your Grand Abolishers for this. Not for tournaments, but for testing purposes. It's a really cool card. If you're on Thrasios Tymna, if you're on, I'm not sure if it's a Thrasios Rograk or a Rock Thras type of card, but got that potential. All right. While we usually get out and we do play a bit of Magic the Gathering, and we have been pretty darn good about getting a play of the week on the show. This past week was pretty busy for the MoxStars. We didn't actually get out and play much Magic, didn't have anything that really stood out to us this past week, but there is a deck that I am really excited about that I think will stand in place for this week's play of the week. Call it the deck of the week. And this deck is called Rat King Isn't a Butt Guy. And this is a Doran Besieged by Time deck. So there's a new Doran that exists from lore when eclipsed, and it's 1 and then 1 of each Abzan. So 4 total mana for a Treefolk Druid that's a 0/5 classic Doran. Each creature spell you cast with toughness greater than its power costs 1 less to cast. That is not the important line of text. Whenever a creature you control attacks or blocks, it gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the difference between its power and toughness.
Well, if that's not the important part, then how are we going to abuse that second part?
Yeah, now that's the important part, right? So essentially, Doran is able to turn itself into a 5/5. Like on its own, that's what it does for itself. But there is a really interesting, there are all these like the pitiless petitioners or whatever they're, right? Or the persistent
petitioners, yep.
Yeah, but no one pities them. Persistent petitioners, and then you have all these cards like Heir Apparent that are like you can have as many as you want in a deck, right? And they all give each other bonuses in some way or somehow. But one of the originals from Dominaria, Rat Colony. Now, Relentless Rats used to be the rat of choice, but Rat Colony in combination with Dorn makes a very interesting and compelling deck list, because Rat Colony for 1 and a black, Rat Colony gets +1/+0 for each other rat you control. A deck can have any number of cards named Rat Colony. So in this deck, I've jammed 35 of these guys in here. I think that's
way more than most people do.
Yeah.
That is a whole bunch. Makes deck building easy, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And, I don't have to make a whole lot of decisions on, anything else. But in combination with that, so let's say you cast 3 of them, right? And you get +3/+3 or +3/+0 on top of it, and then you cast Doran and then you attack. You're at what, a 5/1 at that point. So then your creature's power is basically going to go up +4/+4. Math. It's hard, right? But the butt is so much smaller than the what do you call the
front?
The front, yes, the front. The butt is so much smaller than the front, so it actually makes it work. It works. Like the difference gets bigger and bigger the more rat colonies you play. So the more that makes it so that Doran can pump these even more than they were ever supposed to be pumped.
Because the downside with rat colony historically has always been like, okay, I'm swinging at you with this 13 power rat. I got 100 rats out here. This is really awesome for me. I jump with a 1/1.
Bye, rat colony. Yeah.
Like, I've dealt with the problem at the cost of a token.
Yes.
That I got on the MoxStars Etsy store. But now it survives. Yeah. I gotta throw 5 damage at this thing just to kill one of them. Impossible. I lose that game.
Yes, it becomes a 9/8, I think, or something like that is what it ends up becoming. So they get massive just by that's only having 3 of them on the battlefield at one time. And then you have other supporting rat cards, which, by the way, their butts are bigger than their fronts. So you have Piper of the Swarm, which is a 1/3, costs 1 black mana now. You have Lord Skitter's Butcher, which when it enters, you get to choose one. Ideally, you're choosing creatures you control gain Menace until end of turn, but it's a rat. It contributes to the power of Rat Colony. And then you have Realm Walker as a 2/3, and Ashcoat of the Shadow Swarm is a 3/4, and then Marronar is a 2/3. So there's a lot of supporting pieces, cards that have relevant effects, like Ashcoat, which by the way is a $90 card. What?
Big jumpstart card, yeah.
Unreal. When Ashcoat of the Shadow Swarm attacks or blocks other rats you control, get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of rats you control. Jeez. Yeah. At the beginning of your end step, you may mill 4 cards. If you do, return up to 2 rat creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. So pretty nice. That was why the count of rat colonies was so high. I figured in tandem with this, be nice. But now that you're in Abzan, here's the cool part about this. Realm Walker, yes, now you can cast rat colonies off the top. But now that you're in Abzan, you get really great things like Raise the Past. So the problem with these strategies in the past were that, you block with a token and then that rat's probably gone for good. You're probably playing Living Death or something like that. It's a big boom to bring all of your rats back to life, but Raise the Past does it at a far more efficient rate because they don't get +1/+0 while they're in the graveyard. There's 2 ones. So now you Raise the Past for 4 mana. You just bring all of the rats that have gone away back to the battlefield. You can also play something like Doubling Chant, where you normally wouldn't have access to this in mono black rat colony decks, but it's 5 and a green. For each creature you control, you may search your library for a creature card with the same name as that creature, put those cards onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. This card wasn't made for a deck to have 35 of any given thing. So it's disgusting. It's a sorcery, but that's why I thought it was important to highlight this deck, because in Abzan you get so much more support and so much more. It's a stronger, it's a more fortified build for Rat Colony. And then you can go down instance, not too much, but Return of the Wild Speaker is really great here, especially with the +1/+0. And then you get Locket of Yesterdays. Spells you cast or spells you play cost 1 less to cast for each card with the same name as that spell in your graveyard. So then now you're just paying 1 black for your rat colonies. And then Thrumming Stone, classic. It's a classic. You're going to get a lot of rats off that. White Lotus Tile, see some play here. At Great Henge, draw cards. Chronicle of Victory to help seal a deal, win the game. There's another really good card you get with Abzan, which is called Blood Bond March. This is 2 and a black and a green enchantment. Whenever a creature spell is played, each player returns all cards with the same name as that spell from their graveyard to play.
Holy cats.
Yeah. And then you play Greater Good alongside that. So draw, discard, cast 1 rat, get them all back. Discard them all, So, and then a card that I really like from Tarkir Dragonstorm that didn't see enough play, Smile at Death. I think this is actually a good card. Just has not seen enough play. 3 and 2 white for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, return up to 2 target creature cards with power 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put a +1/+1 counter on each of those creatures. So every turn you get 2 rats back. Seems good. And then the lands still need a little bit of work, but I'm sure I'll squeeze a Talon Gates of Madara somewhere in here. Yeah.
Yeah. Lean pretty heavy. It's pretty heavily a black deck. I mean, I think that's the reason, like, the Ash Coat is so expensive. Like, it was the premier rat commander, especially for, like, the rat colony type decks. That might have some competition now with the new TMNT card. The Rat King, the Verminster, also cares about rats.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Expanding this, using Doran, something you don't typically see for a rat deck, getting that color expansion, I think is super powerful. How sweet is it to secret salvage for every Rat King or for every rat colony in your deck, and then next turn raise the pass, bring them all back.
Yes, like unbelievable. The ceiling for this, crazy. So yeah, I am excited to play this. This is intentionally bracket 3. But that's where we've kind of been dabbling and having a lot of fun playing with our pod is within the limitations of bracket 3. So this could even be bracket 2 if you wanted to walk that line because it doesn't have any game changers. But I think at the end of the day, you got to acknowledge 8's bracket 3.
It's very strong. Yeah, I think this is comfortably in bracket 3, and I would understand an argument for bracket 2. But like, once you start cheesing, like once you get like some Greater Good post combat,
yeah, you have this Blood Bond March like just on the field, and then you just sack your whole board, Greater Good half your library, and then just like cast 1 rat, and all of them are right back. It's pretty sick. It's pretty disgusting. So I hope you've enjoyed this deck of the week. The deck list will be in the description below on the YouTube channel, so check it out there and leave a comment if you're interested in Doran the Rat King, besieged by time. All right. Speaking of Abzan commanders.
Yeah, let's stay in this vein. This feels good. This feels right.
Yes. Do we talk about Abzan commanders quite a bit? Like, is this the #1 podcast on the internet for Magic the Gathering, Dr. Pepper, Don Cheadle, and Tayam, Luminous Enigma? Because
it has to be.
It has to be, right? We talk about it almost too much. We've actually annoyed some listeners. Some people have unsubscribed because all we do is talk about Tayam. Yeah. But it is a very, very cool Rube Goldberg machine. But last week, the question was asked. I saw this question on Reddit, and I had to dig a little bit. But they asked, is Tayam even a good deck?
Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't see this, so tell me some of their points.
So they were just like, I've been playing it now. I don't see it. I don't understand it. Like, and yes, it has a high learning curve. Sure. But the overall community flocked to this one because I think Tayam's a beloved cEDH deck like that. Gets a lot of respect for the pilots who do manage to get all the gears and everything turning. So overall, the community came back though and they were saying that right now stacks aren't good. Stacks decks aren't good right now.
You gotta go fast.
Yep, and Tayam is primarily a stacks deck. It is like, I think that's what you see a lot of time. Like when we had that discussion, I know it's got to be a little bit over a month ago now, but about cutting like Aven Mind Sensor. It's like, got to get rid of it. You only have room for one of that effect, and opposition agent's just better. So it's kind of weird, but yeah, stack decks are bad right now because they haven't printed a stack, like a stacks card that answers any of what's going on in cEDH at the moment, which is you need some sort of pre-game stacks piece. Like that's almost what it would take.
And I don't think Tayam lists do stacks because they think that's a good strategy. I think they understand what their strategy is, and they realize I need a little more time. I'm not going as fast as these other decks. And I think Tayam, to your point earlier, gets so much juice. People are so ready to back it or support people who play it is because they're sick of seeing the same thing over and over again. If I got to look at one more blue farm or one more Rogthras or, oh, cool, there's this thing that's kind of niche and kind of weird, but also competitive in the community, to the moon. We're going to keep pushing it. And I think that's part of, I know my passion for the card.
Yeah.
I love how niche this is. And every time you showed me a deck today, I believe we're going to get into, new cards I hadn't thought of or considered. There's 1,400 ways to build that deck. Can we get into that?
Yeah, absolutely. So ultimately, as the community came around to say that, it's not that good, well, that kind of provoked me to go check out EDH top 16 to check out results. And it's not in the top 8. It makes me sad. I do think it can be here. It's not in the top 16. It is number 18 with a 0.92% meta share with 125 entries in the last 6 months in a tournament size of 50 plus players. So it's out there, and people are playing it. But as you go in, you check in on Tayam, okay, so many entries. How is it doing? In December of this past year, so not that long ago, 3 months, we actually had someone win a tournament with Tayam, 72 players, and we got into this list by Matthias Sempertagui. Sorry if I
crushed it. Perfect. Yep.
Sorry if I butchered that. Pronounce my last name. Try it. Dare ya. And then, so we got into it and we clicked on it. We started going through and we're just like, oh yeah. General good stuff. Yep. Here we go. Good stuff. We had to comment on how horrible the format of topdeck.gg is for deck lists. It's just the worst. It is the worst format to put deck lists in.
It took me 6 minutes to find the deck list.
It's awful. Anyway, you're going through and you're looking at the list. You're like, yep. General good stuff, which is what Tayam has, pretty recently has become. But then you see a few unique cards. And I think we've all really loved and adopted Marvin into our lives. Marvin, Murderous Mimic. Marvin has all activated abilities of creatures you control that don't have the same name as this creature. So it absorbs everything, becomes sort of a necrotic ooze. And then 2 cards over, we saw this new tech. This might not be new to a lot of people, but it is new to us at the MoxStars podcast. The Patrol Signaler. I have started seeing this, I guess, in a couple of lists around just in my research after looking at, going into that thread, asking, reviewing that question. But Patrol Signaler is 1 and a white for a Kithkin Soldier. It's a 1/1 that says you can pay 1 and a white. And then you have that really awesome untap signal. You don't see this often. They don't do that anymore. But 1 and a white, untap it, put a 1/1 white Kithkin Soldier creature token into play. So, yes.
Shouts out OG Lorewind.
Yes, this is OG Morning Tide. Yeah, so in the Lorewind block, and it's it's an effect they don't really do anymore, is that untap deal. But in tandem, it can do it itself, but it needs a little help with Agatha Soul Cauldron. In combination with Agatha Soul Cauldron, which I've been a firm believer in for a long time, I think that card's awesome. Patrol Signaler can become or grab the abilities of something like Bloom Tender. In my case, it would be like Sarah's Sanctum or whatever, but it can do it itself. If you control Tayam, a Patrol Signaler, and then you give it the ability of Bloom Tender from your graveyard with Agatha Soul Cauldron, it generates infinite green and black mana, and it just creates infinite bodies. So just activating 2 abilities every single time. So the ceiling's high there. It's and they're playing Devoted Druid as well, because I think you have to. I think every Tayam plays Devoted Druid.
You're on Centaur Garden. It's a land spot. Just play it. Yep.
I think every deck plays Wall of Roots. I think every deck plays Archon of Emeria. I think every deck plays Aven Interrupter.
And they should be.
Yes. I mean, every deck plays Tyvar. Every deck plays Carrion Feeder. Every deck plays Money Changer. Not every deck plays Bartolome, which is not like, you have to make your cuts somewhere. I think Bartolome is a great sack outlet, but Basking Brood-Scale is another card that's a choice for them because they are also on Rosy Cotton. So they are giving themselves as many opportunities as possible to give them like the chance to make infinite tokens, creature tokens. So it's a really interesting list. It has no fluff.
There's no room. There's never room. Yeah, we've all built that before.
Yeah, I mean, when you're in cEDH, there's certain tendencies you'll take based on your own personal style, but this one seems, it's not that it lacks style, but it just has zero fluff.
Yep.
The fluffiest card is Patrolling Peacemaker, and it enters with 3 counters on it. So it's not fluff, and it's really good. As you go down and you check out everything, they're playing the Cabbage Merchant. I would say, there you go. There's your fluff. Cabbage Merchant. I don't think it's not good in every deck. Just because you're playing green doesn't mean it's good. Is that fair to say?
I think it's close. When I see a Cabbage Merchant, I really hope to also see the Devoted Druid and Hazel's Brewmaster combo, because if Cabbage Merchant can make me a whole bunch of foods, and then I can just exile, like I don't have to go for the combo with Hazel's and the Brewmaster. I can exile like a Ranger Captain. And now all of my foods are Ranger Captains. Nobody else gets to play the game for the rest of the match. Like,
sure.
You can hold everyone off of any win attempt. So I like to see that. You're right. That does feel like a choice.
Yeah. It's got a lot of hype.
The lack of an Entomb here, I think, is a choice. Especially if you're going for Agatha's, like throwing that thing in the bin you need, and then going through your Agatha's line, whatever combo that is. You can exile the Patrol Signaler from your grave to give one of your mana dorks the ability of the Signaler, or vice versa. If your Signaler's out, exile any of your mana dorks to give it that ability, just to tap it again. And even if it's only tapping for like 1, that's still value. You're not infinite, but like 1 mana, make a dude. Tayam loves that.
Okay, a question for you. Is Entomb fluff?
Is Entomb fluff? Entomb
is it win more? Is it like...
in the same way Vampiric Tutor is fluff. Like, it's the perfect card you need. Like, sometimes. So
Vamp Tutor in this case is far better. Vamp Tutor in this case is far better than, right?
I think you could make that argument.
Like, because...
All I'm saying is, sometimes you only get 1 Tayam activation.
Yes.
And whether Vamp Tutor puts it on top or puts it in the grave, it kind of accomplishes the same goal in that specific instance. But yes, there's also Vamp Tutoring the card you need to your hand at your opponent's end step. Vamp Tutor is better. But I'm just saying, like, you usually only get 1 to start running, or you only get 1 Tayam activation to stop something. You bin that Aven Interrupter and put an activation of Tayam on the stack or something to save the game.
Yeah. So, I mean, the reason I ask if Entomb is fluff is because what if you activate Tayam and one of the 3 that you mill is Entomb? Like, and then, yeah, boo is right. But what if it was a viable combo piece or a viable creature to return to the battlefield? Like,
sure.
That's, I think that's where the mind is at with a lot of this is like, what if I rolled a Aethersworn Canonist instead? And, pulled that from the graveyard, and then I can at least slow the game down, give myself an opportunity for a second activation. So, it's tough. It's tough. There, like as you said, when it comes down to building and deck building specifically, it's just like there are never enough spots. You have to make cuts that hurt, and so there are times when I wish that commander was 110 cards.
Yep.
Or I could,
speaking of needed cuts for this deck, what does your Menace brain do when you see a topping list with 30 lands in it?
It makes me scream a little, but I understand it. What I do not understand is why they are not on your Kamigawa Neon Dynasty channel enchantment.
I think it's in here. Touch the Spirit Realm.
No,
right?
no. The green one, the one that combos with Devoted Druid. Yeah,
combos with Devoted Druid. Yep.
I think that one. I think that you're the pioneer of that, and I like it more than I like something like Leyline of Abundance. But yeah, the deck functions like. And this one is, like I said, no fluff. If anything, Leyline of Abundance is there for the ceiling, but if you don't hit it in your opening hand, then that and a dork in your opening hand, it's a Christmas land scenario that you're betting on. Otherwise, it's just a dead card most of the time. So,
Careful Cultivation. I just had to look it up. That was the name of that.
Careful Cultivation. Yes. Yeah. So ultimately, what we're getting at here is that there are, like, Tayam is a good deck, right? It runs into the issue of turbo, not being able to like turbo itself out. The one thing that I have been an advocate for with Tayam is that you don't just need to, like, you don't have to just be good stuff. There are so many niche like gaps for Tayam to shoot that you could be more stacks oriented with something like Authority of the Consuls or whatever, and then run into a life gain. Like you could be, I've seen Turbo Abzan. We used to see Ikra Shadiki all the time, like with Timna, and they were like, it was when the format was a little bit slower, but you would see it and they would go for Adnaz. I think that you were running Adnaz for a long time. Now,
that's true.
There are so many cards that say when you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on this thing, and then you get it just residually from like just playing the game. It requires like 1 or 2 cards to be the setup of those things. But I think now there are enough cards out there that say like when another creature enters, gain a life, and then you get the residual profiting off of that. And then you can play things like Enduring Vitality, tons of dorks, and Adnaz from 60 life versus like Adnazing from 40 life, where that's where Tayam needs to sort of like be. I think that you could justifiably build you can build many Tayam lists that pivot differently than what I know that these are the results that this guy won a tournament with this build that is Abzan good stuff, but it kills me over and over and over again when I see people slander this deck, when most of the time it's just because we're lacking the creativity to change and pivot. Yep.
So you mentioned Careful Cultivation earlier. I just do want to take a second to pause. I did think we found some more cards in TMNT that have a chance to support Tayam.
Yeah.
And I feel like having missed last week, we didn't get enough time to dive into those. Are you okay to review those real quick?
Yeah. What is on your mind?
So kind of as a joke, more it's a meme. I just want to point out a fact that is true. Guac and marshmallow pizza. We can talk about this art, and we can talk about the name, and we can talk about everything else that's a part of this. But this does serve a couple of purposes.
It's a Devoted Druid thing.
It's another infinite outlet. I kind of mentioned earlier, beautiful segue. This is a food, so your cabbage merchant can use it. Your Hazel's Brewmaster can use it. It has flash. What is the white enchantment people were super on for a while that
reconfiguration
turned it into a vehicle?
Swift reconfiguration, yeah.
Yeah. So same cost as that. In my opinion, the way decks are moving now, just a little better. So for the listeners on Spotify, Guac and Marshmallow Pizza is a 1 green pipper. It's an artifact with the food subtype. It has flash, and when it enters, target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn, and you untap it. +2/+2 until end of turn, and untapping it is just enough to get that Devoted Druid going crazy and infinitely activating your Tayam. Who else up filling 3 cards, you know?
Yeah, I think the craziest and the best part about it is that it's a permanent. So this is like, you can't do that with Blossoming Defense. You have to Centaur Garden will do it the turn it comes out, but then you need that additional green mana to do it.
And I've gotten my butt kicked so many times. You also need whatever the graveyard one is, Delirium.
Threshold. You need 7 or more cards in the graveyard.
Kicks my butt. I totally forget about that every time.
Yep.
But yes, please go on.
Yeah, and the other thing is, you can pair it with food like oriented strategies to get additional benefits from it. I think that's also, you don't get the untap with things like Blossoming Defense, or you get Hexproof, so it does protect, and that's the downside, I guess, of this, is that it doesn't like inherently provide any protection to the Devoted Druid. It just makes its butt bigger so that you can combo off. Not the worst thing in the world. It's really hard to stop. Like, I think that if someone isn't playing, someone doesn't have that's the thing about Tayam. I think that it gives it the really high ceiling, is that it's really hard to interact with, because a lot of other decks are going to win via some sort of like casting of a spell. And so people are playing interaction for those things, Swan Song, Force of Will, Force of Negation, all those things. You can't interact with Tayam in those same ways. There are less meaningful counter spells for creatures than there are for instant sorceries, non-creature spells. So that's where Tam sort of like gets the edge, is that it's hard to interact with, and you specifically need creature removal or non-land permanent removal in order to disrupt it effectively.
It is.
You can't silence. You can't silence it. You can't. Yeah.
It is funny when you talk about like the scene of cEDH, how the 2 best win conditions. I'm not even saying decks. The 2 best win conditions are Thoracle and Breach. And you need to cast spells repeatedly. So everyone's interaction package is designed to deal with those 2 best things.
Yes.
But below that, and just below that, is the interactive package for activated abilities. So your Kinnons, your Tymna Thrasios, your Infinite Thrasios activations, your Magdas, your Sisseys, and even to our earlier point, the Tayams, like the very difficult to interact stuff. If it's not the best thing in the world, you want it uninteractable, and I think that's where we get some points there.
I think that there are also other decks that aren't anti-meta, and even some meta decks that would consider it. I think that any Tymna deck can run a Curse Totem and be happy. They don't have to worry about it. But the reason that Tayam can't keep let's just be absolutely honest and clear, that the deck cannot keep up with TNT. Right? It gets out mid-ranged just due to generic card quality and the disparity in card quality, because you have to run very specific things like this in order to explode. But both of those, like, the only way to shut those decks off are to shut Thrasios off. And the best way to shut Thrasios off is a Curse Totem, but you can't run that. You can't run any sort of thing.
You shouldn't.
No, you shouldn't, right? There's no way to eat your own Curse Totem. And then as soon as you do, they push while you try to push too. So there's inherently an issue with that, because you are on an activate ability. The cards, if you were to run stacks and you were to slow down the turbo decks, well, you've just handed the game to the mid-range decks. So I've done it. And the problem is that all the mid-range decks are Thrasios decks right now. And you want to run something that stops those activations or stops or slows those decks down. Well, you can't, because it also slows you down. And the worst part about Tayam is the limitation of mana value 3 or less. And you don't see many decks that run 1 or even 2 creatures that have mana value 4 or greater. Like I run a Hulk pile. Right. I like running a Hulk pile because it pivots on a different axis, but it is risky inherently because I can't just grab that with Tayam. I have to have 2 pieces hit the graveyard, the Hulk and a Necromancy, or Hulk and an Animate Dead. Just outside of Tayam's purview is your Limvalas, your Limvala and Drana. Like those are the cards that would save you and help Tayam push into that next tier to compete like punch for punch, bar for bar, steal Thrasios's flow. You know, it's like bar for bar, flow for flow. Like you could do that. You know, you could do that if you had something that was 3 mana value or less, that actually turned off everybody else's stuff, but it still allowed you to function. That's where Tayam like thrives, is like, yes, you can put a rule of law down and not have to worry. To Thrasios is kind of similar. Thrasios Basios. You know, you don't need to cast spells. You sort of keep accruing value until your opponents just do nothing. And you do. And then
so you can hold up interaction safely, and if you don't need to burn that interaction, you can spin. Yeah.
Yep. So, that's
the other thing I wanted to make sure we talked about as it relates to Tayam with the TMNT cards. I don't know. You really liked like the gray streak in my hair, or I don't know. I think you were flirting with me. Is when things were getting spoiled, you sent me Madam Null.
Yeah.
Hey, what are we doing with this? And I'm like, I don't know, but mischief, hopefully, because
yes, this to me
makes me think. How do we use this?
This to me is the best card from TMNT for Tayam. It's 2 and a black Demon Advisor, legendary creature, 1/3 Death Touch that says whenever another creature you control enters, you may pay life equal to its power. If you do, put that many +1/+1 counters on it. Life is a resource. Mm-hmm. Right? Doesn't matter once. I mean, like, as long as you have 1, you're still in the game. So I think that there are plenty of creatures out there that run in this problem. This is why we were running Warden of the Grove, right? Warden of the Grove allowed you to endure, but it required a little bit of setup. Yes, Tayam, if Tayam was there when Warden of the Grove entered, yes, it got a vigilance counter. And then at the end step, yes, it gets a counter. You activate, yes, you get something that enters with 2 additional counters and a vigilance counter, and you're off to the races. But what if Tayam isn't there before Warden of the Grove comes down?
Yep.
Right? Then you're waiting multiple turn cycles to get to the conditions that you need in order to have the 3 counters necessary for the Warden of the Grove to be relevant. I've seen Warden of the Grove get cut. Like from decks, it just is too slow. Like it's too conditional, I should say.
It's cute.
Yeah, it can be cute, but Madam Null does not mess around. I don't think. I think this is just like, okay, now this is on the board. The next thing that comes in is gonna have at least it's gonna have a vigilance counter at the very least, and it's probably power 2 or greater. Let's kind of take a list. So looking at Madam Null here. Let's go ahead and take a look at that list we were just on. How many creatures have, like, sure, you might play a Dork Delighted Halfling and it enters with an additional, you pay 1 life, enters with an additional counter.
Yep.
More than you had before.
Sometimes that's good enough. Yeah.
Yeah. But Badger Mole Cub, pay 2 life, get 2 counters and a vigilance counter. I think that it's fine. You're going to be A-okay. You're going to be.
I want to let. Maybe for the kids listening to the channel, you young whippersnappers, back in my day, we used to play a little card called Unspeakable Symbol in our table.
Yeah, hey.
1 black enchantment, so instantly harder to cast. 1 black enchantment, pay 3 life, put a 1/1 counter on a target creature.
Yes.
You burn through half your life just trying to get a couple Tayam activations.
Yes. The one thing I will say is that card that works really, really well with Madam Null is Kitchen Finks, which was a staple for a long time because you have these persist you have this option to persist. Now, Kitchen Finks says that when it enters the battlefield, you gain 2 life, and it has persist. So when this creature dies, if it had no +1/+1 or no -1/-1 counters on it, returns to the battlefield under its owner's control with a -1/-1 counter on it. Now, Madame Null, because its power, it's a, let's see, Madame Null says, whenever another creature you control enters. So Kitchen Finks will enter with a -1/-1 counter on it. Its power will be 2. You can pay 2 life, take that -1/-1 counter off of it. It'll have a vigilance counter and a +1/+1 counter on it. Ideally, you already have a sack outlet for this, but Madame Null allows you, because when this enters the battlefield, you gain 2 life. You're paying 2 life to put counters on it. Now you've gained that 2 life. You're net neutral. So any sack outlet like Phyrexian Altar, Ashnod's Altar, now with Madame Null, nets you infinite mana and likely enough counters to continue activating. So it becomes viable. Like,
yeah, you don't even need Tayam for that one.
Right.
The one you just described.
Yeah. You can just generate infinite Phyrexian Altar. If you're playing that in your deck, I think, you've just generated infinite mana. So there's that. Madame Null is really interesting. The ceiling is very, very high. If we're looking at like going back to that list, anything that comes in like Strangleroot Geist, it's undying. It'll come back with a +1/+1 counter on it, but then you can pay the 3 life if you want to put 3 more counters on it.
Yep.
Or even like Orchestral Master does it itself. It's fine. But I do think that it's viable in a lot of ways.
So. I think TMNT might have done, I mentioned +1/+1 counter decks earlier, but might have done our Tayam some good. I'm very excited because you know what it didn't do well, this TMNT set? Sorry, let me back up. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Are you going where I think you're going?
There's a slew of ninjas in this set. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You know what? If I wanted to make a turtle typo deck, I could do it tomorrow. Because you know why? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
got a lot of turtles.
A whole bunch. But what they printed 0 of is cards with mutate. The thing in Magic's lore that deals with mutation. The mutate mechanic is absent from this set, and I am livid.
I'm not equally livid, but I am also pissed a little bit because it's like they danced around it. They danced around it completely. Well, we got mutagen tokens now, and it becomes a mutant in addition to its other types. But what is it doing in the process of becoming a mutant?
I wonder if that was part of like R&D. They're like, we can't say mutate.
Yeah, we can't do it.
Can't say mutate.
Yeah, they didn't even give us like a commander card that can mutate at all. Like it feels like a huge miss. Like a huge miss. So like there was the opportunity to like bolster this mechanic. Like brother, do you think that when they were putting this set together, like because it was in the works for a few years now, or like at least a couple of years, they were putting this together, and they were like finally sent it off, like sent it off to get finalized and printed. And do you think like Gavin looked over at somebody and was like, "You think the mutate crowd's gonna be pissed?" Yes. Dude, there's so many mutants in this set. Not a single mutate card.
Imagine that same scenario where they send it off and it's 2 guys kind of standing there looking at each other and they're like, "You put mutate in the set, right?" And the other one turns to him and like, "No, I thought you did."
Or they just look at each other and he goes, "What? Oh, no, dude." Yeah, just completely whiffed. Oh my God. Yeah, they had a really cool opportunity here. And my guess, because they're insistent on fixing every mechanic that's ever been printed in the past, that we'll get mutate again, but it won't be called mutate. It'll have a different name. It'll be somehow fixed, and then when the creature dies, it returns all pieces back to the board separately or something.
Yep.
So yeah, that'd be one day the return to Ikoria. It's on its way. Yeah, this is pretty interesting. You know, you do get a few pretty interesting cards for cEDH in general. Like, yes, we do love to talk about Tayam, but it is cool to see the surveillance camera get some time to shine here. You know, and then, you know, still in the same vein as Tayam, you get new cards that give you new lines and new axis, axi. Was it? Axolotl. To pivot on. Like, you get, yes, tons of new strategies to play around with and test. So if anything, we're truly the winners of every single set that comes out because we get new pieces to test and throw in. And
they're gonna keep making Magic sets, and I can only put 100 cards in my deck. So I'm gonna keep picking. I'm gonna keep shuffling stuff around and trying new strategies. I'm always gonna have that brewer's advantage.
Yeah, keep plug and playing. Every set that comes out has some sort of mechanic that benefits +1/+1 counters, -1/-1 counters, landfall, life gain, blah this, blah that, and there's so many just cards out there to help magnify those things. So if you're out there and you're a Tayam player, or Tayam, if you so do, please leave a comment down below on the YouTube channel. Let us know what your favorite axolotl to pivot on is. What way you're building Tayam now that you have your hands on the TMNT cards, whether or not you went to pre-release or purchase cards. Also, did you see that they released a totally tubular secret layer?
For turtles?
Yeah, there was a secret layer. Yeah. None of them. It is 4 days past the launch. Not a single one is sold out. Nobody.
I remember viewing the cards, and if you were a Turtles fan, it was a sick secret layer. The drop looked, all the cards were so artful, delightful, wonderful. But if you needed those cards and you wanted to play them in a deck that was anywhere near competitive,
yes,
you might struggle.
Here, let's take a look real quick. This is, I mean, they have these featured drops. The one cool one, the one that I thought was the best value in general for cEDH players, was a secret layer, the Last Ronin foil edition, or what foil? Oh, yeah. I don't care. But you get your first meaningful reprint of Settle the Wreckage, which if you've never played it with Settle the Wreckage, super fun card. You should definitely play it. And then you have Mental Misstep. This is
sick.
Yeah, this is sick.
Oh, good.
Really crazy art with Kellogg's Loop. And then you have Splinter Vengeful Sensei, which is Ink Eyes, another Rat Commander, but this one's valuable. It's over $20. You have Anger with probably the best artwork for Anger ever. And then you have Court of Calling. So right away, you have Mental Misstep and Court of Calling, which are two cEDH All-Stars. And I think that for $40, you definitely get your value here. Like, I think Court of Calling is like, what, $20? Something like that.
Oh, no way. I would have guessed it in the teens, yeah.
Yeah, teens to 20. And then Mental Misstep is perennially just sub 10. But I do think the art works, and just like, yeah, this one will be worth it. So, yeah. This has been MoxStars podcast. Rampage, you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, I did have a thought. What is the most amount of tomatoes you've ever eaten in one session?
If you'd like to support the show, you can do so by finding us on YouTube. You can like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more notifications. You can also, I don't have an answer. You can also support us on all major podcasting platforms, or all podcasting platforms for that matter, by leaving us a 5-star review to make us look super duper cool. It helps new people find the show. You can also find our Etsy store, where you can buy the coolest tokens on the market for all of your Magic the Gathering needs. You can also support us on Patreon by becoming an official Pepperhead or a member of the MoxStars fan club. For $3 a month, have your name turned Dr. Pepper Red or Lime Green, the color of Squirt, and support the show. We truly do appreciate it. Thank you, Mac Owen, definitely Jeremy, Mono Greg, UWP Court, Will Rule, Ryan G, Adam, and Person. You guys are all awesome and truly the best supporters in the world. All right. That's it. That's all the plugs, dude. I did it.
Great work. Phenomenal execution.
Nice. And that means...
Till next.
Yeah, it means we're out of here. Peace.